Feels like a early Christmas. Glad to see so many people here. Glad to see so many people are engaged. But I am more excited to welcome our newest member to the planning board, uh, Mr. Commissioner Geraldo, and I are pleased to welcome Billy O'Shea Okoye as a commissioner to the Prince George's County Planning Board and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. This week, Mr. Okoye was appointed by Prince George's County Executive Aisha Brayboy, confirmed by Prince George's County Council, and sworn in. Mr. Commissioner Okoye has succeeded former Vice Chair Dorothy Bailey. Dr. Okoye brings more than 20 years of experience in business, community advocacy, real estate, technology to our dynamic agency. And on behalf of the planning board as a whole, I am excited. I'm excited to welcome him because I know he is ready to roll up his sleeves and get down to business.
Don't mess with the IT people.
It's always one. But nevertheless, I am excited to welcome him, as I am sure that he is also equally excited to be a part of this dynamic team. The time is now 10:08, and I am calling the November 20th Planning Board meeting to order. We have the following board members with us today: Commissioner Geraldo,
Here?
Commissioner Okoye,
Yeah.
and I am Chairman Barnes. We now move forward to the business at hand. Please note that the deadline for all participation, pre-registration, and for all submission of materials and exhibits was due 12 noon on Tuesday before the Planning Board meeting. Please note as of October 2nd, walk-in, speaking, sign-up is no longer permitted. We will now move on with today's agenda item. Before we go into the agenda item, I want to take the pleasure of adding one item to the agenda, and that is to vote for vice chair of the commission. And we're voting for Commissioner Geraldo to be the vice chair of the planning board, right? Is there a motion?
Yes.
Say aye.
Aye.
He votes aye, and I vote aye, and I second it. All in favor of Commissioner Geraldo being nominated as the vice chair of the planning board? Let's do a roll call vote.
There you go.
Commissioner Okoye,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo,
I vote aye.
and I vote aye as well. Welcome aboard, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
The order of cases today's meeting is as follows. Item 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 3. Items 5 was removed from the agenda, and items 3C and 3D will start at 1 p.m. The first item on the agenda is item 2, draft minutes of October 30th meeting. We look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the draft of the meeting of October 30th, 2025.
I second it.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Geraldo,
Vote aye?
Commissioner Okoye,
I vote aye.
and I vote aye as well. The ayes have it. We will now move forward to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items 4A, draft resolution, case heard on October 30th, 2025. Item 4B, draft resolution, case was heard on October 23rd, 2025. Item 4D, zoning section item, approval to transmit recommendation to ZHE. Is there a motion? Is there anyone who wishes to oppose the staff recommendation on consent agenda items? Seeing none, board, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, after consideration of the record for items number 4A, 4B, and 4D, I move adoption of the staff findings and approval of the items on the consent agenda in accordance with the recommendations of staff.
We have a motion by Commissioner Giraldo and second by Commissioner Okoye. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. Regular agenda items. We will now move into the regular agenda items. The first item on the agenda is item 6, detailed site plan DET-2025-006, Junica Brandywine. We will now hear from staff.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair, and members of the planning board. For the record, I am Dexter Cofield with the Urban Design section. Item number 6 on the agenda is detailed site plan DET-2025-006 titled Junica Brandywine. This detailed site plan proposes the development of 142 two-family dwelling units and 2,000 square foot clubhouse for residents. The property is in the commercial general office zone, is located on the north side of Brandywine Road, approximately 800 feet west of the intersection of Brandywine Road and Maryland 5 Branch Avenue. Prior to the noon deadline on November 18th, the applicant requested language revisions to conditions 1A, D, L, and M, and provided an additional proposed condition 6, which can be found on the first page of the additional backup as applicant exhibit 1. Staff concurs with the applicant's proposed revisions, with the exception of the term deed in proposed condition 6. In addition, staff has entered into the record a supplemental memo as staff exhibit 1. The memo revises findings 3B5 and 3B7 related to conformance with the approved preliminary plan of subdivision, specifically the mandatory dedication of parkland requirements under section 24-4601. Based on the evaluation and analysis provided, the urban design staff recommended the planning board adopt the findings of the technical staff report and staff exhibit 1 and approve detailed site plan DET-2025-006 and type 2 tree conservation plan TCP2-2025-0061, subject to the recommended conditions of the approval outlined in technical staff report, as modified by staff exhibit 1 and by the applicant exhibit 1, with the removal of the term deed from the applicant's proposed condition 6. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the planning board for staff? Seeing none, we will now hear from the applicant's attorney, Mr. Horn. Before you get started, David.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Anyone else who wishes to speak, who's signed up to speak, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Board. For the record, Arthur Horn with the law firm of Shipley & Horn in Largo, Maryland. Very pleased to be here this morning to represent, in this case, Junica Brandywine, LLC. First, Mr. Chairman, extend my congratulations and best wishes to Commissioner Okoye on his appointment to this prestigious board. And to say it's my honor to be the first to appear before you in this particular case. Mr. Chairman, it's a great pleasure that I introduce the applicant in this development. They represent a group of racial minority developers that are well known in the state of Maryland, and in particular in the city of Baltimore, where they have developed residential and commercial developments throughout. Their managing member is Mr. Larry Jennings, and the Brandywine Village LLC entity consists of Mr. Jennings, Mr. Ron Lipscomb, Mr. Michael McCrary, and Ms. Kathy Jennings. Our civil engineering team was from Atwell, and they include Mr. Paul Woodburn and Mr. Morgan Walabute. The lighting engineering is Mr. Jared Whitmer from the Lighting Practice Group. The architects in this case are from BCT Design Group, that Mr. Scott Foster, and Ms. Lindsay Hockenfelder. The transportation professional engineers are from Linhart Traffic Consultant, and they are Mike Linhart and Dylan McAndrew. Our noise acoustical engineer is from Phoenix Noise and Vibration, and that's Ms. Erica Ebersol. Our land planner is Mr. Shelley from Shipley and Horn. Mr. Chairman, the resumes of all these experts have been submitted into evidence, and they've all been previously qualified by the planning board or the zoning hearing examiners on numerous occasions. And as per usual, they're only present to answer any specific questions that may occur. I'd like to thank Mr. Cofield for his presentation and thank him and Ms. Garland and Ms. Connor for their tireless work efforts as usual in their review of this application. On behalf of the applicant, I will say that I concur with Mr. Cofield's presentation, inclusive of all the findings of facts and legal conclusions as set forth in the staff report, and inclusive of the additional findings and conditions that were proffered by the staff. Additionally, as proffered by the applicant, there were minor technical and stylistic conditions as mentioned to conditions 1A, D, L, and M, which exist listed in applicant's exhibit number 1, and the applicant further concurs with the staff that it supports the removal of the word deed in condition 6. Mr. Chairman, the ever-growing Brandywine area will be provided with 142 units conveniently located adjacent to Route 5 and Brandywine within a beautifully self-contained neighborhood with amenities including a 2,000 square foot clubhouse with a fitness room, area for gathering space, and a cafe. Outdoors, there will be a dog park, open common area, extensive connecting sidewalks throughout, and a tot lot. The individual units are all market rate housing units with widths of the minimum of 20 feet wide and 41 feet deep. All the units have balconies, driveways, and garages. The architectural features are consistent with the architecture in the area and is noted by the staff, though it wasn't required. Even in the rear of the units, most are enhanced with and include the same design elements as the front facades. The applicant scheduled and held 2 community meetings throughout the entire development process, and though the meetings were fairly lightly attended, the applicant addressed all the questions raised by those in attendance and to those 2 individuals who called as a result of the same poster. All of their questions were apparently satisfied as there are no individuals in opposition. This application meets all the requirements of the zoning ordinance and for approval of the DSP, and we respectfully request the application be approved, inclusive of the applicant's amendments to the conditions 1, A, D, L, M, and condition 6, minus the word D, as well as the staff's additional conditions, which were found in Roman numeral 3B, paragraph 5, 7, as well as the additional proposed conditions 1O and 1P. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Horn?
None.
Seeing none, I don't believe that there are any ones here in opposition. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, upon consideration of the staff's findings, I move that we adopt DET 2025-006, along with the findings that are set forth in the staff report and the conditions as further modified by applicant's exhibit number 1 with the removal of the word deed, and staff's exhibit number 1 as well, including the findings and 2 additional conditions.
Mr. Chair, can I add one additional finding for the consideration?
Applicant's exhibit 1.
The type 2 tree.
Yes, I'm sorry, type 2 tree conservation plan. TCP 2025-0061.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Giraldo and a second.
Yeah, a second.
A second by Commissioner Okoye. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Horn. Next item on the agenda is item 7, detailed site plan DET-2024-015 Smith Lake Estates, We will now hear from staff. Ms. Sun.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Planning Board. For the record, I'm Meng Sun with the Urban Design section. Item number 7 is Detailed Site Plan DET-2024-015 for Smith Lake Estates. The detailed site plan is for development of 75 single-family detached and 68 single-family attached residential dwelling units. The application also has a companion alternative compliance application, ACL-25-0007, which is requested alternative compliance from the requirements of Section 4.1 of the Landscape Manual regarding minimum planting area of each single-family detached lot. As a matter of housekeeping, staff received applicant Exhibit 1 prior to Tuesday noon deadline. The exhibit provides a proposed revision to finding and condition 1F, which now reads as follows. Provide light fixtures location for the proposed lake trail, lighting details, and photometric plan to demonstrate conformance to Section 27-6707E of the Prince George County Zoning Ordinance. Staff is in agreement with above revision as it clarifies the intent of the condition. The exhibit has been included in the record. Based on evaluation and analysis, Urban Design staff recommend that the Planning Board adopt the findings of this report and approve detailed site plan DET-2024-015 and alternative compliance ACL-2025-0007 and Type 2 Tree Conservation Plan TCP2-2025-0066, subject to the recommended conditions of approval with the technical staff report as modified by the applicant's Exhibit 1. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Any questions from the Planning Board for Ms. Sun? Seeing none, we will now hear from the applicant's attorney, Mr. Tedesco. Before you get started, David.
Seeking to testify in this case, could you please stand and raise your right hand? Anyone online? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, Matthew Tedesco with the law firm of McNamee Hosey in Greenbelt, here on behalf of the applicant D.R. Horton, Inc. With us this morning from our consulting team, from Rogers Consulting, we have Charlie Howe, Christine Gillette, and Rob Swam. From my office, we have Dominic Lockhart, who's online. And from the applicant team, D.R. Horton, we have Griffin Burns and Jeff O. Tenisek, as well as Mike Lenhart, who's our traffic engineer for the project. First and foremost, I want to thank Ms. Sun and staff for their review of this application. We worked very closely with staff throughout the process, as we always do. Had some minor clarifications on a couple of items, which we were able to work through, and I just want to thank staff for that understanding and for their courtesy in applicant's Exhibit 1 and agreeing to that. Today is a day of first, Mr. Chairman. I want to welcome Mr. Okoye to the commission and look forward to appearing before you many times, and congratulations on your appointment. This is a day of first for him, but also a day of first for the county with respect to this particular project being the very first property that was zoned to the RPD, Residential Plan Development Zone, in the county pursuant to the new zoning ordinance. This is the final step in that entitlement process, saving the record plat. So hopefully with your approval today, this will culminate a 3-year process embarked upon by the applicant and this team to facilitate the first residential plan development zone project in the county, for which we are very excited and very proud to be a part of. The proposal reflects years of coordinated planning and results in high-quality, environmentally sensitive residential community of 143 homes, 75 are single-family detached, and 68 are villa-style attached homes within the RPD zone. The plan fully conforms to the previously approved zoning map amendment, the preliminary plan of subdivision, the certificate of adequacy, and I would like to emphasize the technical staff has recommended approval. All referring agencies also recommend approval. Smith Lake Estates has been designed around the property's natural features, most notably the existing pond and stream valley, which are preserved, enhanced, and showcased as the heart of the community, being a central organized element. A 10-foot wide public connector trail, internal walking paths, lakeside seating areas create substantial active and passive recreational opportunities while protecting natural resources. All regulated environmental features are preserved or restored to the fullest extent feasible. The RPT zone encourages flexible design, and this plan delivers on that. The applicant provides a mix of housing options ranging from traditional single-family homes to wider villa-style homes, with main floor living meeting the critical countywide need for both multi-generational housing and opportunities for residents to age in place. Architectural elevations offer high-quality materials, varied facades, and thoughtfully designed streetscapes. The transportation network is safe and functional. A single well-placed access point on Frank Tippett Road, sidewalks along both sides of internal streets, striped crosswalks and bike lanes along the frontage provide strong multimodal connectivity. While a few waivers are requested, staff supports them due to the surrounding institutional land, topographic constraints, and the absence of meaningful connection points to adjoining properties. This development is fully consistent with Plan 2035 and the Subregion 6 Master Plan, which call for context-sensitive infill within established communities at densities up to 3.5 units to the acre. This proposal is at 2.38 units per acre, which is consistent with the surrounding neighborhoods and respectful of the area's established character. This application provides needed housing choices at multiple price points, preserves the highest environmental features, enhances recreational opportunities, and implements safe and complete pedestrian bicycle circulation. Aligns with the county's planning policies and has received staff's full support. With that, Mr. Chairman, we're happy to answer any questions. We are excited about this project. We would respectfully request the Planning Board's approval as recommended by your staff and as further modified by applicant's Exhibit 1, which was just clarification of a finding and a condition related to the trail system around the lake feature to include lighting. With that, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, again, we submit on the record and incorporate and adopt our justification as further testimony. Thank you so much.
Are there any questions for Mr. Tedesco?
I have none.
Seeing none, and I see no one in opposition, is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based upon the staff's report and analysis, I move that the planning board adopt the findings of the report and approve detailed site plan DET 2024-015, alternative compliance ACL 2025-007, and type 2 tree conservation plan TCP 2025-0066, as well as with the conditions as by staff, as well as modified or further modified by applicant's Exhibit number 1 with regards to one finding and its conditions.
Been properly moved by Commissioner Giraldo and second by, yes, I second, Commissioner Okoye. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye. I vote aye. And I vote aye as well. Thank you so much. The next item on the agenda is item number 8, detailed site plan DSP-2306, Oarsman of Bowie. Hear from staff, Mr. Meyerholtz.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Board. For the record, I am David Meyerholtz with the Urban Design Section. Item number 8 is detailed site plan DSP-23026, which requests development of a 22,111 square foot automotive sales and service dealership. Property is in the commercial service zone, prior commercial miscellaneous zone, and is located on the west side of US 301, Robert Crane Highway, approximately 410 feet south of its intersection with Mount Oak Road. As a matter of housekeeping, the additional backup includes 4 exhibits submitted by the applicant prior to the noon deadline on November 18th, with each being a resume of the applicant's engineering, planning, traffic, and architectural experts present here today. Urban Design staff recommend that the Planning Board adopt the findings of the technical staff report and approve detailed site plan DSP-23026 and type 2 tree conservation plan TCP2-089-05-01, subject to the recommended conditions of approval within the technical staff report. This concludes staff's presentation, and thank you very much.
Are there any questions from the Planning Board for staff?
None.
Seeing none, we will now hear from the applicant's attorney, Mr. Antonetti. Before you get started, David.
Anyone else seeking to testify, please stand, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. You don't have to repeat after me. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Barnes, members of the Planning Board. For the record, my name is Robert Antonetti with the law firm of Shipley and Horn. Mr. Okoye, Commissioner, welcome to the board. I look forward to working with you for many years into the future. Thank you so much. Today with me is my esteemed partner, Mr. Arthur Horn, our senior land planner, Mr. John Ferrante, and together we're pleased to represent the applicant in this case, Rohit Bowie, LLC, a subsidiary of the Oarsman Automotive Group, for this detailed site plan. Today, we also have Mr. Xavier Camacho, a representative of the applicant, Mr. Joe Heisler of AHS Architects, Mr. Chris Rizzi and Joe DeMarco, and Mr. Eric McWilliams from Bowler Civil Engineering and Landscape Architecture. We also have Mr. Mike Lenhart from the Lenhart Traffic Consulting Group. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Mr. Meyerholtz for his thorough and very professional review. I've said it once, I'll say it again. He is a fantastic reviewer. He is incredibly professional. He is the personification of everything you want to see out of the folks you interact with on behalf of the planning department. And I just find it a privilege to be able to work with him. So I just wanted to note that for the record. With regards to this application, this proposes a 22,111 square foot automotive dealership. It's on the west side of US 301. It's just north of an existing dealership. And you may recall, Commissioner Barnes and Geraldo, regards to the preliminary plan of subdivision for the median that you approved not too long ago, probably about a month or so ago, for an additional dealership. It's a high quality dealership. The architecture, I believe, speaks for itself. It's a very attractively designed, modern dealership. Now, you may be asking, what is the brand or the make that's going to be at this dealership? There's a little bit of uncertainty in the market, as you may be imagining, in terms of tariffs, production limitations, economic realities. There is interest in this dealership by several brands, but we haven't determined the final one yet. But we look forward to selecting one in the near future. But nonetheless, the form that you see here today, in terms of the location of the building, the materials, the architecture, the finishes, those will remain with any brand that goes into that space. This property is within the city of Bowie. We had the pleasure of interacting through the city's process, through their Bowie Advisory Planning Board, through the City Council, who all supported this application unanimously. We do agree with the staff's recommendations, both their findings and conditions. We believe that this application, based on the application materials, the staff report meets all the requirements for approval of this detailed site plan. Our team is here to answer any questions that you may have, and we do thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Antonetti?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
I just have one. I know you have not decided on who the occupant will be, but is there a timeline in which you all are hoping to have identified someone? Is that in another couple of months, a couple of weeks, or another year? What does that timeline look like for you?
My understanding, I believe it's in the next couple of months that we would identify the final maker that would go into that space. Obviously, it's subject to negotiations, but there are discussions, active discussions going on right now. I just can't get into exactly who, but it's soon.
Are there any other questions?
None.
Seeing none, and I don't see anyone in opposition. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, on consideration of staff's report, I move that the planning board adopt detailed site plan 23026, approval of the type 2 tree conservation plan TCP 20890501, and approve the variance as well, section 25-122B 1G. Adopt the findings of staff as well as the recommend staff conditions.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Geraldo and a second by Commissioner Okoye. I would now call the roll. Vice Chair Geraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye. I vote aye. And I vote aye as well. Thank you all so much.
Mr. Chair, Before Mr. Meyerhold stands up, I received some awful news.
Earlier this week, because the legal office also holds Mr. Meyerholtz in high esteem and has enjoyed working with him so much that to hear that he is leaving the commission,
No.
it was a shock to me.
No.
And more so because I was, for many years, the city attorney. To hear he's going to be a village manager, I, on the flip side, said, well, that is perfect, because this is the kind of guy that should be in a position like that. So I want to make sure that legal office steps in and says, thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Meyerholtz, by the round of applause and the admiration from Mr. Antonetti and David here, we hold you in high esteem. We wish you much success in your endeavors, but we hate to see you leave. I just saw the planning department director, Director Hall, pull out a tissue. So we're going to miss you.
Thank you very much. You have a very strong team of reviewers here.
All right, thank you so much. The next item on the agenda is item 9, preliminary plan of subdivision PPS-2024-035 Beech Tree. We will now hear from staff.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, I'm Asavet Andus with subdivision section. Item number 9 is a preliminary plan of subdivision PPS-2024-035 titled Beech Tree. This preliminary plan of subdivision proposes 139 lots and 38 parcels for the development of 139 single-family attached dwelling units and up to 15,000 square feet of commercial use. The property is in the commercial, general, and office CGO zone and is located on the west side of US 301 Robert Crane Highway along the southern edge of the Leland Road. This application is also supported by an approved certificate of adequacy ADQ-2024-073. As a matter of housekeeping, one additional item of backup was submitted prior to the noon deadline on November 18th from a Beech Tree community resident in support of this proposed development. In conclusion, subdivision staff recommend that the planning board adopt the findings of the technical staff report and approve preliminary plan of subdivision PPS-2024-035 Type 1 Tree Conservation Plan TCP1-2025-0031, subject to the conditions included in the technical staff report. This concludes the staff's presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Vanden Duss. Are there any questions for staff?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Seeing none, we will now hear from the applicant's attorney, Mr. Tedesco. But before you get started, David, if you can swear him in.
I hate these. Thank you, Mr. Tedesco. Anyone wishing to testify in this matter, please stand, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Matthew Tedesco, law firm of McNamee Hosey, in Greenbelt here on behalf of Beech Tree Land Acquisition LLC, represented here today in person by Mr. Ricker. Also from the development team, our senior land planner, Dominic Lockhart from my office is online. From ATCS, Jasmine Frazier, as well as Luke Matanen, and Michael Lenhart from Lenhart Traffic and Consulting are with us this morning. We do have some citizens that have registered. I believe they are here, all of whom are in support of this application. So I will try to be very brief so they have an opportunity to address you if they so desire. But I do believe that they are in support. And I want to publicly thank the community. There's been a lot of community outreach in this, as you can imagine, with the Beech Tree community being a well-established neighborhood within Prince George's County and Upper Marlboro. and we have worked closely with them, and we do have various agreements in place and other types of documents that further support and will help shape this development from what was previously conceived to be all commercial. It was previously approved as a commercial subdivision with site plans for rough grading and infrastructure. The commercial has never really come to fruition. However, having some element of a commercial component, in particular restaurants and 15,000 square feet restaurant type park, is the vision of the community as well as the applicant team, and what we hope to fulfill those expectations along with the residential component consistent with the CGO zone. It proposes a high-quality mixed-use development consisting of 139 single-family attached homes, and as I mentioned previously, up to 15,000 square feet of commercial retail space on approximately 19.63 acres. I'd like to highlight why this plan not only satisfies but meaningfully advances the county's planning goals, and why approval in both are appropriate and warranted as recommended by your staff. Property is vacant, has been mass graded, and has been the subject of prior approvals. Development pursuant to those approvals was never realized. The new plan replaces the dated and unrealized commercial-only layout with a more modern, community-oriented mixed-use plan that better reflects today's policies, priorities, and market realities. It fulfills and preserves the intent and the purposes of the CGO zone. I do want to thank staff, Ms. Vattendues, as well as the subdivision staff, supervisors, and DRD team. I've said this before, and I know a lot of my colleagues praise staff for their work. It is somewhat of a thankless job. The really only opportunities we have to really publicly thank your staff is at these hearings. And I know that myself and my colleagues do not take it lightly. Some of these cases are very challenging. Some of these cases are very complicated. And sometimes we find things at the last minute, and there's a quick hurry up and try to address some things, and today is no exception of that. And I want to publicly thank staff and also apologize to staff for an inadvertent information that was submitted in this application related to the recreational amenities. We do have findings in your staff report at page 12 that need to be clarified. Again, we will take responsibility for that. There was information provided to staff regarding the amenities, including an indoor facility, a dog park, and other types of amenities, which just this project at this scale can't really sustain. And so what we are proffering for recreational amenities for this application include passive areas, a loop trail around the stormwater facility, a playground being the top lot, gazebos, seating areas, and open space areas, all of which satisfy the mandatory parkland requirements, are supported by staff, but in your staff report there is an error, not to staff's fault, but to the applicant team's fault with respect to a submittal document that indicated those items, and I do take responsibility for that, and I do apologize publicly for staff. It was not their mistake, it was ours, but nevertheless appreciate their professionalism, understanding, and cooperation with trying to clarify that this morning. With that, Mr. Chairman, we had no other recommended revisions to the staff report, saving that one finding on page 12. We agree with staff's recommendations for its conditions of approval, and we would happy to submit on the record, incorporating and adopting as further testimony or justification, and happy to address the board after the citizens who have signed up to speak have an opportunity to speak to close it out. But thank you again, thank you staff, and thank you for your consideration.
Are there any questions for Mr. Tedesco?
I do, Mr. Chair. Mr. Tedesco, I'm looking at page 12. So you're saying the first paragraph on page 12, which it refers to an indoor rec building, a dog park, a water feature, with a water feature, playground. So you're proffering something else other than that?
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
we would be proffering our passive areas, including a loop, passive areas that include seating areas, but also active areas that include a loop trail around the stormwater facility, which is referenced in your staff report, a tot lot playground, which is referenced, but we would like to add gazebo, open areas, and then dog waste stations that will be determined at the time of detailed site plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions, Mr. Chair?
Seeing that there are no other questions, and I see no one in opposition, I do believe that there are some that may want to speak in favor. Is Aisha Haynes hand? Seeing none. Angela Smith? Jennifer Burks? Carrie Bowen? Lisa Jordan? Lynette Womack? Terry Charles? Vladimir Charles? That's all I had. That was in favor. Is there a motion?
Chair, after consideration of the staff's report and presentation, I move that Planning Board adopt the findings of fact, approval of the preliminary plan of subdivision PPS 2024-035, and approval of Type 1 Tree Conservation Plan TCP 1-2025-0031, along with the associated conditions recommended by staff, and as further modified by the proffer by Mr. Tedesco. It's on the record.
We have a motion by Commissioner Giraldo and a second by Commissioner Okoye. We'll now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye. I vote aye. And I vote aye as well. Thank you guys so much. The next item on the agenda is item 10, detailed site plan DSP-24012, National View. We'll now hear from staff. Mr. Hunt.
Chair, we also have a companion item, agenda item 11. It goes with this.
It's out.
So we'll be doing item 11 there?
Doing how about 11?
10 and 11?
Yeah.
Me, Mr. Chair, and the member of the Planning Board. For the record, my name is Emery Huang with Urban Design Sections. Item number 10 is detailed site plan DSP-24012 for National View. This detailed site plan is for a mixed-use development of 1,010 multifamily dwellings, 485 elderly housing units, 33,698 square feet of commercial retail spaces, and 1,350 square feet of office space, and a daycare center for 150 children. The applicants requested alternative compliance AC-25004 from requirement of the Section 4.7 buffering incompatible use, Section 4.9 sustainable landscaping requirements, and Section 4.10 street trees along private streets of the 2010 landscape manual. The applicants also filed departure from design standard DDS-24004, which is item 11 on the agenda. This companion case asks for a reduction of the required plumb parallel parking space size from 9.5 feet by 19 feet to 9 feet by 18 feet. As a matter of housekeeping, prior to the November 18 noon deadline, the applicants submitted 9 exhibits. Applicants Exhibit 1 and 2 are the letters of support from the president of Fort Washington Forward and Town Mayor of Forest Heights, respectively. Applicants Exhibit 3 through 8 are the resumes of the applicants' expert representatives. Applicants Exhibit 9 outlines the revised condition proposed by the applicants, which are minor and for clarification purposes, and the staff are in agreement with. Next slide, please. The subject property is located in Planning Area 76A and the Council District 8. Next slide, please. The site is located on the north side of Capitol Beltway, approximately 1,100 feet west of its interchange with MD 210 and adjacent to Bald Eagle Road. Next slide, please. The subject site is located within the residential multifamily 48 zone as shown in the image to the right. However, this application is being reviewed under the prior zoning ordinance, and his prior zone is mixed-use transportation oriented as shown in the image to the left. Next slide, please. Under the current and the prior zoning ordinance, the subject site is partially subject to the intense development overlay zone associated with Chesapeake Bay critical area. Next slide, please. The property is located within the geographic boundary of the town of Forest Heights. Next slide, please. This map demonstrates the subject property's environmental features and shows the elevation change across the sites, ranging from 196 feet in the south to 20 feet in the north. Next slide, please. This map shows the adjacent master plan's right-of-way, Bald Eagle Road, which abuts the subject property to the east, is a service road abutting the MD 210 and Capitol Beltway interchange. Next slide. This subject property currently wooded and adjoins a single-family detached home to the north within the town of the Forest Heights. The site is bordered to the east and west by woodlands on National Park Service land. A historical site, Mount Welby, is also located to the west of the site. A subsequent video will show the relationship between this historical site and the proposed development, which is also discussed on the pages 45 through 46 of the technical staff report. Next slide, please. This 3D rendering illustrates 6 proposed buildings, building A through F, and 1 parking structure fronting the planned private road. Next slide, please. The site plan shows the location of the 6 proposed buildings and the programming in each building. For example, Building C consists of 432 multi-family dwelling units, 8,310 square feet of commercial retail spaces, and 1,350 square feet of office space. The development also creates a linear open space which comprises of 3 plazas, an arcade, and an amphitheaters, and are designed with various amenities and support features for a vibrant streetscape. Next slide, please. This slide shows one example of open spaces. The open-air amphitheater is located between buildings D and E and is approximately 14,860 square feet. It consists of 239 seats with a stage located in the northern portion of this area. These seats are arranged within 5 rows, integrated with trees and planting beds, facing a central stage area and accessed by the side pathways and stairs. Next slide, please. This proposed development including both public and private recreational facilities, and this facility will be constructed in separate phases as buildings are developed. Public facilities are located in open areas in front of the 6 proposed buildings, which is identified in the green colored boxes. Features seatings, a water feature, trash receptacles, bike racks, and bottler house historical exhibit with stepped seating and signage, and a 12-foot wide shared use path with benches. Private recreational facilities are mainly indoors, which is identified in the blue color boxes, including fitness centers, pools, amenity space, and a shared terrace with green space and the pool deck between buildings E and F. Outdoor amenities including a community garden and a dog park. Next slide, please. The proposed development is subject to the 2010 Landscape Manual requirements, which are discussed on pages 50 through 3 through 57 of the technical staff report. In addition, the applicants request alternative compliance AC-25004 from requirements of the Section 4.7, Section 4.9, and Section 4.10 of the 2010 Landscape Manual, which is recommended for approval by the planning directors. Among the proposed buildings, Building E and F, along with the one parking structures, are the closest to the single-family detached home located north of the site. These buildings are to be 5 to 6 stories and are set back from the northern property line. The combination of the existing and proposed landscaping further minimize their visual and physical impact on the adjacent homes. Next slide, please. This slide shows the vehicles are serviced via a private street network with one access point along the Bald Eagle Road. Vehicular and pedestrian circulation are marked and separated, ensure comprehensive and convenient access. A 6-foot wide striped bicycle lanes and signage are along the limits of the planned private road. Traffic for this proposed development was evaluated with Certificate of Adequacy ADQ-2022-067 with Preliminary Plan of Subdivision 4-22060. Next slide, please. The following 5 slides, which are slides 16 through 20, present the proposed architectural elevation for the 6 buildings and a parking structure. The buildings feature a contemporary urban style with clean lines, modular facades, and flat roofs. Exterior finishes combines brick, stone, and cementitious panels in various colors, aiding visual interest and textures. Next slides. And next slides. And next slides. And this is another 3D renderings showing a close-up of the 6 proposed buildings and the linear open space in front of them. Next slide, please. The proposed development includes 4 types of freestanding signs, which are located throughout the subject property. These signs consist of 1 primary freestanding gateway sign, 5 directional signs, 1 wayfinding sign, and 1 boiler house interpretive sign. Next slide, please. This development also including a list of building-mounted signs. The location and the details of these signs are included in the submitted plan set. Next slide. This slide demonstrates the tree conservation plan, which is discussed on pages 57 through 58 of the technical staff report. Specifically, Type 2 tree conservation plan is in conformance with Type 1 tree conservation plan associated with Preliminary Plan of Subdivision 4-22060, which was approved by the Planning Board in 2023. The methods for meeting the Woodland Conservation Ordinance were approved by the Planning Board with Conceptual Site Plan CSP-21004 in 2022 and reaffirmed with Preliminary Plan of Subdivision 4-22060. Specimen trees were evaluated for removal with Conceptual Site Plan CSP-21004. No additional specimen trees were requested for removal with Preliminary Plan of Subdivision 4-22060 or this subject detailed site plan. No regulated environment features are located within the applications area. Next slides. As mentioned earlier, a 3D video has been prepared to illustrate provide a clear visual understanding of the proposed development, particularly in relation to its context and the relationship with the existing built environment. Before we begin the 3D simulation, I would like to recognize the contribution of the Chris Ritondo from the Information Management Division and Ryan Crown from the Management Service Division, whose professionalism make this possible. Please play the video. The findings of this report and approve the detailed site plan DSP-24012, departure from the design standards DDS-24004, alternative compliance AC-25004, and the Type 2 Tree Conservation Plan TCP2-013-2025 for national view, subjected to the recommended conditions of approval within the technical staff report and the revisions proposed by the applicants and agreed upon by the staff in the applicant's Exhibit 9. This concludes staff presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
I just have one, Mr. Chair. Ms. Shan, thank you for your presentation. I did not see, and perhaps I overlooked it, does it require any dog stations, waste stations for the dogs?
to respond to Commissioner Gerondo's questions, yes, there's a dog vet station around the dog park.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing that there are no other questions, we will now hear from the applicant's attorney, Mr. Antonetti. Before you get started, David.
Anyone wishing to testify in this matter, can you please stand and raise your right hand? That includes anyone online. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning again, Chairman Barnes, members of the Planning Board. For the record, again, my name is Robert Antonetti with the law firm of Shipley and Horn. With me today is my co-counsel, Ms. Tracy Scudder, and my partner, Mr. Arthur Horn, and our senior land planner, Mr. John Ferrante. And together, we are pleased to represent Harborview Development, LLC regarding this detailed site plan and departure from design standards for this mixed-use project known as National View. Now, today with me, we have our formidable development team. We have Mr. Andrew Clayman and Mr. Tom Matea on behalf of the applicant. We have Mr. Chris Rizzi, Mr. Joe DeMarco, Eric McWilliams, and Daniel Park with Bowler Engineering, Civil Engineering and Landscape Architecture. We have Mr. Scott Loictus with Greenberg and Farrow Architects, and we have Mr. Mike Lenhart from Lenhart Traffic Consultants with us today. First, I want to thank Mr. Huang for his thorough review of this project. To say he did a great job is almost an understatement. His 68-page staff report is very, very impressive. And if you can see on my tabs, it's because he covered all the bases that you need to cover for a project as complex as this, has a long history as this, and he did a phenomenal job. The 3D rendering was very impressive as well, and we appreciate him and all the staff for their very, very hard work in this exciting project. Today, as you heard, we're here in support of the National View Detailed Site Plan, one of the most creative, exciting, and well thought out and well-designed mixed-use projects in the history of Prince George's County and the region. As you heard, the property consists of about 20 acres of land. It is developing pursuant to its prior MXT zone. The National View site is located within the municipal boundaries of the town of Forest Heights. As Ms. Scudder will outline later briefly, the applicant has had and continues to meet with the town, numerous meetings with the town of Forest Heights, who fully support the project, which we're very, very grateful for and look forward to bringing forward if this application is so approved. There is a letter in the record from Mayor Lilly, as Mr. Huang stated, dated November 18th, again indicating the town's strong support for this project. This project has a very long history. I'll just very briefly outline it, and I think it's important to understand all the effort and all the entitlement work that went into or leading up to today's detailed site plan. A zoning map amendment was approved by the District Council on October 26, 2021, and it placed this property in the MXT zone. On June 16, 2022, a conservation plan for the 1.73 acres of this site that's within the Chesapeake Bay Critical Area, or CBCA, was approved. It allowed a 12-foot shared use path, a stormwater management facility, and other utility easements and other details. On June 16, 2022, Conceptual Site Plan 21004 was approved for up to 1,870 multifamily dwellings and about 289,000 square feet of commercial or office space, of which a certain percentage, a maximum of 485 dwelling units, were to be senior age restricted. On July 19, 2023, an adequacy certificate was approved for 1,562 multifamily dwelling units and a minimum of 362 senior and 71,000 square feet of non-residential commercial space. On September 7, 2023, a preliminary plan of subdivision was approved, approving 1,562 dwelling units and a maximum of 71,918 square feet of non-residential space. I point this out because we went from the concept plan, the conceptual site plan, which gave the overall maximum ranges of land use types that are allowed here. And as we work forward through the conservation plan, through the adequacy certificate, through the preliminary plan, you refine the vision of the project. So you go from your maximum ranges down to what can be developed in a reasonable and efficient standpoint. And that's what we've done here in this detailed site plan. So the application today actually has a smaller total square footage than what was approved as a maximum in the conceptual site plan, about 300,000 square feet less of total gross floor area. It's a reduction of 308 units from what was approved in that conceptual site plan. But the unit types and approvals that are shown in this detailed site plan respond to the direction we received from prior conditions and prior approvals in terms of compatibility, in terms of efficient layout, and in terms of amenities to be provided within the project. So today we have this detailed site plan which shows the buildings, the infrastructure, the amenities, the landscaping, and other site details for this extraordinary project. The project, as I mentioned, has been laid out in a very sustainable and compact manner, and it protects sensitive environmental areas such as the Chesapeake Bay Critical Area in the north, while promoting the historic legacy on site of the historic Butler home. And Ms. Scudder will briefly speak to that as well. The proposal is a mix of commercial and residential uses, totaling 1,495 total residential units. 1,010 of those units will be multifamily units market rate. 485 will be senior age restricted units. There'll be 33,698 square feet of commercial space, which would include a grocery store in one of the buildings, 1,350 square feet of office, which we'll use as a police substation for the town of Forest Heights, and a 150 student daycare facility located in one of the buildings. This commercial and office non-residential space will be located on the ground floors of various buildings throughout the project. The development is significant. It will happen over multiple phases, and it will occur in 6 residential buildings and 1 structured garage. The very first phase, I'm pleased to report, is phase 1A. It is building D. It is for 227 senior age restricted units. It also includes various amenities, including a portion of the very large and significant linear plaza, which will stretch across the front of the majority of buildings located in this project. The portion of the plaza associated with Building D will include the amphitheater, which you saw with the beautiful amphitheater, a covered arcade, which is integrated with the building, which is kind of a covered walkway outside of Building D. And this building also includes the daycare facility, which we talked about earlier. The details include, this detailed site plan includes the specific details for architecture, including materials, fenestrations, and other appropriate architectural items. The materials used in this project are quality, high quality, and it's exactly the type of quality development I believe Prince George's County and this region deserves. It includes brick, cementitious panels, precast concrete, stone cladding, and various glass treatments of all different varieties throughout the various elevations proposed in this detailed site plan. Now, this project, is one of the most well-amenitized projects that, in a mixed-use environment, to ever be built within the county. The amenities, again, include a large and substantial linear plaza in 3 subphases. It includes a water feature, bike racks, the Butler House commemorative exhibit, which Ms. Scudder will speak to briefly, which is really neat. It includes stepped seating areas. It includes special pavement treatments. It's going to be highly attractive, and it's going to be the perfect entrance and front door to many of these buildings that will be developed should this detailed site plan be approved. I mentioned the covered arcade in front of Building D. And the amphitheater. There is a 10-foot wide shared use path that goes along the private road entering the site, and then it transitions to 12 feet when you get to the Chesapeake Bay Critical Area, which will connect as a pedestrian bicycle connection into the town of Forest Heights. And this will all be constructed by the applicant at the applicant's expense and maintained by the applicant as well.
It'll include a fenced dog park, which is an important feature, certainly for a community such as this. It will include all the features that are typically indicia of a high-quality dog park, and those details are contained in the detailed site plan. Each building will include its own recreational amenities. For example, Building D is envisioned to have fitness rooms, meeting space, a sizable common gathering space with a kitchenette, mail and package rooms, which are very important today in today's environment, given the age of Amazon and other delivery services. Numerous buildings will include pools that will be utilized by the residents. There's also additional outdoor terraces, which are providing outdoor spaces for specific buildings as well. In terms of traffic, and I'm mentioning some of this because I understand there is a person who may be signed up who has concerns about the project. I mentioned the history in part to state where we've been in terms of entitlements, and among those entitlements include the adequacy certificate and the preliminary plan of subdivision, which analyze things such as adequacy of public facilities, which includes namely traffic. This site is strategically located at the intersection of major interchanges between Oxon Hill Road, Indian Head Highway, but most importantly, the Capitol Beltway. The site is unique as though it is in the town of Forest Heights. However, it's accessed from Bald Eagle Road. In other words, to get to this site and the vehicular access in, you do not traverse or cut through the town of Forest Heights. We are on the back side of it. We are connected to them in an outward orientation via our pedestrian and bicycle connections, but traffic will come right off the interchange system that's there, which is significant, right into our main drive off of Bald Eagle Road. So traffic did pass adequacy, and that was decided as part of those prior entitlements. So today, parking actually is entering as well as part of the sustainability and efficiency of this layout will be overwhelmingly through structured parking. And in the design of structured parking, there's different ways you can do it. We have the combination of structured parking that's attached to certain buildings, and we have others that are adjacent to certain buildings. Building D, for example, there in Phase 1B, there's a structured parking garage, which is about 3 stories with the top roof area is also a parking area. And that's been placed in a strategic way to minimize views at a lower point on the site in the north to be sensitive to the neighborhoods that are around it. In terms of sensitivity and adjoining properties, we have been in discussion with the town, certainly, continually, as to how this lays out and how it fits as part of the overall mosaic of development within the town and in the area. Those discussions are reflected in the layout of this detailed site plan. We've also had communication with the National Park Service, and they participated very early on in the application process and back with the rezoning and the conceptual site plan. They haven't been as actively involved, but even though they haven't been as actively involved, we haven't forgotten about them. And the views to and from the National Park Service property is very important. The 3D rendering, I think, did an excellent job showing how the massing of the building, particularly the more significant portions which have been placed in the southern portion of the site, have been placed in a way that you really see the top few floors of the tallest buildings from the ground level at the Mount Welby Historic House, namely. So we feel very pleased with the design efforts and what the outcome of that. I will mention that this application did go before the Historic Preservation Commission, and they supported it unanimously. Again, we're excited about the direction. The layout of this site has been done in a very kind of conscious and thoughtful way in order to achieve the densities or close to the densities that were approved in prior entitlements, but have it laid out in a way that's sensitive to adjoining development. I will notice, in terms of heights, in terms of the effort to, again, lower the heights of the building so everything works and can be parked, we did remove underground parking from the tallest buildings in order to have them as low as possible. And then on the back side of those buildings, we have structured parking. So rather than raise the building up and have the parking underneath, we did move it around, again, being sensitive to the massing and scale and the heights of these buildings and as viewed from adjoining properties. There is significant trail connectivity. We mentioned the hiker-biker trail, the pedestrian plaza, but there's connections here to trail networks that are around through the town of Forest Heights and the Potomac Heritage Trail, which were a vital part of the connectivity aspect of this application and is reflected in this detailed site plan. Trees. You may hear some discussion about trees. We mentioned here that there's about 1.7 acres in the Chesapeake Bay critical area. Except for minor disturbances for the trail connections utilities that were approved in the conservation plan, those trees are largely going to stay in place. There is, although it's a 20-acre site, we are preserving. We're preserving about 2.6 acres of on-site conservation, and then there's the additional 1.14 acres of CBCA land. So the total wooded condition in the area will be about 3.74 acres preserved on site. That's woodland. There's woodlands on the edges of this property, which have been kept intact as much as possible to provide a buffer between adjacent uses. But there's street trees and landscaping, and a lot of plantings are going on that don't necessarily count as woodland. So those are in addition to the preservation efforts on site. I also mentioned that in order to achieve this mixed-use density, you will have to disturb the site and remove some trees. The number of units here are significant. If this were to be provided in a horizontal fashion somewhere else, to obtain this density somewhere else, you would have to likely impact acres upon acres of trees. Since this is a compact, sustainable development, and we've gone vertical, we've been able to minimize the impact overall of this project and maintain as many trees as possible without I guess, continuing to concepts of sprawl and other things that you may hear in other applications. So this truly is, again, a very sustainable, well thought out and efficiently laid out project which achieves the densities allowed under the zone and the prior entitlements. And we're very, very excited about it. Again, I mentioned over the years there has been a significant amount of outreach to neighbors and the town of Forest Heights. And if I could ask your discretion, Chairman Barnes, I'd like to ask Ms. Scudder to come up just to briefly outline those efforts because they're very, very important and a part of the legacy of this project.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Barnes, members of the Planning Board, Commissioner Okoye. Welcome. Good morning to staff as well. For the record, my name is Tracy Scudder with the law firm Reese Broom. With regard to community outreach, our team took a very proactive approach. Very early on, we recognized the potential for this project to become a regional destination venue due to its prime location at an entry point into Prince George's County and the state of Maryland from the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, and the fact that the site is right next door to the Oxen Cove Park and Oxen Hill Farm, not too far from the historic Mount Welby House, and the fact that the site itself is a historic property. In 1853, the property became the home of Henry Alexander Butler, a free black man from Charles County. He was a homesteader in the antebellum period. Our outreach efforts regarding National View began in 2019, and it was really a grassroots effort where we actually sought out citizens with an opinion. We kept an eye on social media posts, and we got connected to many people that way. We spent a year talking to community members and community groups, meeting with county officials and elected officials and the municipality before we ever filed the first application. We continued that work up until now, keeping the community informed through organizations like Fort Washington Forward and working closely with the municipality. Over the years leading up to this detailed site plan application, the applicant and this team has attended numerous meetings at the town of Forest Heights. We've put on presentations for the town residents to show them what this project will entail and just be there to answer questions and explain specific aspects of the development process. As a result, we've been able to develop a very positive relationship with the town of Forest Heights. There were common goals and visions between the applicant and the town. When we started processing the first application, which was the zoning map amendment, the northern portion of the site had already been annexed into the town. So the applicant was on board with the idea of the southern half of the site also being included within the boundaries of the town. The town and the applicant executed an annexation agreement, which brought the site fully within the boundaries of the town in June of 2022. This afforded an opportunity for the applicant to work closely with the town of Forest Heights, and we started having monthly meetings on the progress of the development. I would applaud the town for getting House Bill 825 passed, granting the town of Forest Heights authority to exercise urban renewal powers. On March 2nd, 2024, the town passed a resolution approving an urban renewal project for the National View site, which ultimately paved the way for the property to be designated as an urban renewal project, making it eligible to receive a pilot. The applicant's team has also been able to coordinate and execute on a number of shared goals and visions with the town. One such shared goal being connectivity. There is now more connectivity through bicycle and walking trails and side paths in and around the National View site. And most recently, we've been working with the town in regard to a trail connection, as Mr. Antonetti mentioned, to Seneca Drive, which is a significant connector to the town's adjacent neighborhood. There will be a 12-foot wide pedestrian and bike connection, a dawn to dusk trail with new lights at trailheads and directional signage. The applicant is also assisting the town with job placement efforts. And along that vein, the town has a goal to grow its police force. And now they will be able to do that because the applicant is providing a new police office at National View for the town of Forest Heights Police Force. This will be a 1,350 square foot space with parking. The town will also experience considerable growth in its tax base as a result of National View, and the applicant looks forward to continuing to work closely with the town to make this project a hallmark development for the town of Forest Heights and Prince George's County. Before I close, I would like to highlight the time and attention the applicant has given to the historical component of this project. The applicant did not shy away from making the history of this property a central feature of the development. For this reason, we believe National View has great potential for a destination venue because of its emphasis on the history, which is infused throughout the development. Most notably, as you heard earlier, there will be a centrally located outdoor lineal plaza that will feature the Henry Butler Historic Exhibit. The size of the plaza area is the same size as the footprint of the Butler House. There will be a plaque within the plaza that provides historic information about the Butler House and the family that once occupied the land. There will also be commemorative signage, such as a monument sign within the plaza, and a walkway that wraps around the plaza for placemaking purposes. Mr. Henry Butler was an avid gardener, and his favorite fruit to grow was lemons, so there will be a commemorative lemon tree in the community garden. And it should also be noted that the trail system within National View, as Mr. Antonetti mentioned, will connect into the Potomac Heritage Trail, which runs from here down through Virginia. These are some of the details that we have incorporated into this project as a team focused on placemaking and honoring the Butler family and those who once occupied this land. That concludes my presentation. Thank you, and I'll now turn it back over to Mr. Antonetti.
Again, thank you. In just regards to the application details, there is a companion departure request, which was described by Mr. Wong. It does seek a modest reduction in the width of the parking spaces from 9.5 feet by 19 feet to 9 feet by 18 feet. This is important because it helps have a more efficient parking layout to disturb less area and to meet parking on site. It's also consistent with other jurisdictions that have even smaller minimum standards. We have a slightly larger one under the prior zoning ordinance, but this is certainly within the realm of something that would be acceptable and highly functional and would allow this project to move forward efficiently. As you mentioned, there's as you heard, there were some AC requests here, alternative compliance requests from 4.7, 4.9, 410 that were mentioned on pages 53 to 57 of the staff report. The applicant concurs with the staff findings regarding the alternative compliance request as part of this detailed site plan. And the applicant agrees with the staff's recommendations in this case, as well as the conditions of approval, with a few minor exceptions as reflected in the applicant's exhibit titled Applicant's Proposed Revised Conditions. Mr. Huang mentioned staff is in agreement with. With these changes, the applicant would respectfully urge your support of this application as it meets all the applicable requirements for a detailed site plan and departure from design standards. We do thank you for your consideration today of this request. Our development team is here to answer any questions that you may have. And Mr. Chair, just as a point of procedure, if I could have a moment to respond to any potential opposition or concerns that are raised by anybody who else has testified, I'd be more than appreciative to come back up and answer those questions.
Absolutely. Are there any questions for Mr. Antonetti and his team?
I have none.
Seeing none, I believe that there is one in opposition that has signed up to speak, Ms. Tristan Tani Hinton.
Good morning.
Excuse me, Chair.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hinton, if you can, I need to have you swear in.
I just want to confirm that you were sworn in. I didn't hear anything through.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning. As I said, my name is Tristiani Hinton. I'm a resident of Glass Manor in Oxon Hill, and I am deeply concerned about the impact that the National View development will have on the Oxon Hill community. The area is already overwhelmed with traffic, and the location of the development is highly residential. I can tell from the conversations that have happened here today that most of the people speaking do not drive along the routes adjacent to the development. Even with some restructuring of the roads, which I did not see in the proposal, adding over 1,000 residences along with commercial and office spaces will cause significant backups to neighborhood streets, 210, and the nearby interstates. That means increased commuting times, difficulties accessing the outlets in National Harbor, which bring outside resources to the county, and more general volume on streets that already struggle to handle it. This is of particular concern to me, having spent an hour trying to go about a half a mile during a recent MGM event on a Saturday night. Pushing this extra traffic into Forest Heights, Glass Manor, and the surrounding Oxon Hill and Fort Washington areas will be detrimental to the many homeowners that already live here. As the county continues to push residents to cut back on waste, increase recycling, and be better stewards of the land that we inhabit, we should not be destroying acres of land when we could be pushing development dollars into bettering the services and spaces that already exist, like Eastover Shopping Center and Rivertown. The Planning Commission, as the organization meant to protect and steward our natural, cultural, and historic resources, plays a critical role here. The environmental impact of this construction, despite the requirements outlined in the plan, will likely be broader and more far-reaching than is currently accounted for. I'm worried about the impact on Oxon Cove Park and Oxon Hill Farm, on local wildlife, and on the cleanliness of our neighborhoods. There are plans laid out for a parking garage as well, which circles back to the increase in traffic, but also adds extra emissions to our community. So we're not only are we tearing down trees, but then we're adding worse air, which is going to make things even harder to breathe and more harmful for residents. Given the location and easy access to both Alexandria and DC via paths and trails in the Oxon Cove Park, along with the sheer number of new residents that would be inhabiting the space, along with using the commercial spaces, I'm also concerned about the increase in crime because of that, but also the criminalization of current residents, which comes across in the continued mention of the plan to increase policing in the neighborhood. And speaking of our jurisdictional neighbors, quite honestly, this development feels like the kind that they have both used to gentrify predominantly Black parts of town, destroy historically Black communities, and price people out of neighborhoods that they've lived in all their lives. And then from a purely aesthetic perspective, adding such a tall building to a skyline will be an eyesore in an area that is full of single-family homes, semi-detached row houses, and a handful of garden-style apartments. As someone who has grown up in this area and is a current homeowner in the neighborhood, I urge you all not to move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Hinton? Seeing none, Mr. Antonetti, you have time for your rebuttal.
Thank you, Chairman. And to Ms. Hinton's comments, I did address already the traffic and the how that was evaluated previously and how it was found to met all the adequacy requirements through prior applications. This property is strategically located to these major roadways. It couldn't be any closer to them. It's really where you want to provide growth, really. In terms of the access and traffic through the town, I mentioned that the way this is set up, the main entrance to the property, the only vehicular access to the property is all of these interchanges. So you do not traverse the town roadways otherwise to get to and from the site, which I think is an important aspect of it. In terms of emissions, the case that I presented earlier, the Oarsman Automotive Dealership, I've become more and more familiar with the state's mandate, 2035 mandate, that all new cars and light trucks will have to be 100% EV vehicles. That's the law in the state of Maryland. And there is a transition to that. In the interim, this application is providing EV-ready parking spaces within its structured garages. That is a condition in the staff report. And those EV spaces can be expanded, speaking with the applicant, can be expanded through retrofitting even after construction to provide more. So emissions is something that's more of a larger regional state issue. There are other regulations in place, but looking down the road, 5, 10, 15 years from now, emissions is going to be a different thing than what we consider today. In terms of crime, certainly safe communities are very important. This has been designed in response to fire and police comments as pursuant to this detailed site plan. I do think the expansion of the additional police office within this project will provide greater opportunities for crime prevention and policing in the area, which is an important aspect of a safe and vibrant mixed-use community and a larger town community as a whole. So we're very excited about those aspects of it. Overall, I will respectfully disagree. I think the architecture of these buildings have been very, very well thought out. They're high quality, and they've been designed in a manner both in architecture and in heights to be sensitive to the adjacent development. And they've been massed in locations to minimize to the greatest extent possible any intrusion from height, but to maximize the kind of the beauty and high quality features that are designed within the architectural elevations for each building. So with that, I've said a lot. Unless there's any questions of myself, I'll wrap up my presentation. And again, we greatly appreciate your consideration and the time allotted to presenting this very, very extraordinary project. Thank you so much.
Are there any questions for Mr. Antonetti?
I just have one. So, Mr. Antonetti, just for the record to be clear, the only entrance or exit to the development is going to be Bald Eagle Road.
Correct. That is correct. With the exception of in the north, where the 12-foot wide trail, there's another reason why it's 12-foot wide. With the agreement with the town, that will be the possibility of an emergency vehicle access if there was only, and it'll be controlled by either bollards or gates to prevent any other vehicle traffic from going down.
So anyone going into the new development will not have to go into the actual town of Forest Heights.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Excuse me, can I just quickly say one more thing?
If you let me get to you.
Oh, sorry.
Ms. Hinton, I will give you an opportunity to summarize your testimony.
I just wanted to state that I'm coming from Glass Manor. I don't live in Forest Heights. I live across the street from Forest Heights. It's the same neighborhood, but the traffic that I'm talking about is not what's happening inside of Forest Heights. I'm talking about what's going to happen on Livingston Road. I'm talking about what's going to happen on Oxon Hill Road, the surrounding neighborhoods, not just what's happening within the Forest Heights community. And the traffic in these areas are already much worse than they should be. And without any real adjustments to the roads, it's just going to make everything a lot worse for all of us.
Thank you so much. Commissioners, is there a motion on item 10, detailed site plan DSP-24012 National View, and item 11.
You've got some
Departure
other
from-
speakers here as well, though, just to let you know.
If you should support. And your name?
Fort Washington Forward.
In favor of, I'm sorry,
Yes,
David
sir.
Owen. Go ahead, Mr. Owens. Mr. Owens.
Okay, yeah, and I'll be quick here. Dave Owens, I know time is short. Dave Owens, I'm the president of Fort Washington Forward. And just for the record, I've been sworn in as well. Appreciate the opportunity to speak here this morning on behalf of our board of directors for Fort Washington Forward. I am expressing support for the National View project. We believe it's a holistic approach to neighborhood building. We're also not naive. We understand that, developments like this involve a lot of complex variables. Conservancy's got to be considered, traffic studies, stormwater management, all of that stuff. And we believe that all that can be accomplished through the will of the development team and Prince George's County's government. Maybe most importantly, and I'll close on this, I think this is a great addition. We believe it's a great addition to Southern Prince George's County as a whole. National View is not in Fort Washington, but we recognize its significant potential positive impact on our region and the quality of life. Plan 2035 is solid, but quite frankly, we feel it's neglected non-metro facility areas like this one and the 210 corridor, resulting in a car-centric area with unbalanced resources that force residents everywhere else for daily needs. We continue to envision a day where the Maryland 210 corridor is reimagined with Adventist Healthcare Hospital Campus as a hub. And we believe National View would buttress this vision and along with the hospital campus provide much needed daytime workforce density, balanced retail for communities along Piscataway Highway, and increased commercial tax revenue for the region. So, for all of those reasons, Fort Washington Forward once again submits support for this project, and we appreciate the development team for their continued discussions with the community. We also respect people who don't agree with us, like the woman who's speaking there. We respect it all, but we certainly support the project. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. Once again, listeners, is there a motion on item 10, detailed site plan ESP-24012 National View, and item 11, departure from design standards DDS-24004 National View?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Upon consideration of the staff's technical staff report and today's presentation, I move that the planning board adopt the findings and approve DSP 24012, DDS 24004, alternative compliance AC-25004, and type 2 tree conservation plan TCP 013-2025, along with the recommended conditions of staff and is modified by applicant's exhibit number 9.
Been properly moved by Commissioner Giraldo and second by Commissioner Okoye. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye.
And I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you all so much. We will now move on to the next agenda item number 12, Countywide Planning Division, MRF-2025-007, Good Luck Community Center. We will now hear from Mr. Walker.
Thank you very much, Chairman Barnes and members of the Planning Board. For the record, my name is Bobby Ray with the Countywide Planning Division. Item number 12 is a mandatory referral review for the Good Luck Community Center located at 8601 Good Luck Road in Lanham. The existing facility lacks the size to serve the needs of the community and is proposed for demolition and replacement with the new 22,000 square foot facility. The proposed center will include spaces for a gym, community meeting space, administrative offices at a preschool. The existing tennis courts and basketball court surfaces will be replaced and upgraded, and 2 new playgrounds are proposed. The project also proposes upgrades to the existing water line, sanitary sewer, and electrical services. Staff's analysis and recommendations are included in the staff report and packet. We have no registered opposition to the project, and staff recommends approval of mandatory referral MRF 2025-007 and the transmission of recommendations to the project applicant.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the planning board? Seeing none, we will now hear from the representative's attorney.
I believe we had someone from the engineering, architecture, and no worries for the parks. Yeah.
Now, I don't see anyone in opposition to this. So is there a motion?
Chair, I move that we adopt the recommendations of staff for MRF 2025-007, as well as the recommendations set forth in the staff report and analysis.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Giraldo and second by, yes, second, Commissioner Okoye. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Okoye.
I vote aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now take a recess until we come back for items 3C.
It is now 1:28. I am calling
us back into session. The next item on the agenda is item C, corporate budget.
Office FY27 approval for revenue, enterprise, special revenue, and internal service funds. Ms. Charles.
Microphone kind of quality. Thank you. Want to press it firmly? There you go.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Terry Bacote Charles, and I'm the Corporate Budget Director. And I'm here before you today to present the non-parks special funds and the internal service funds request for FY27. Next slide, please. So first up is the special fund operated by the Planning Department. And this fund is the non-capital, this fund undergirds the non-capital reimbursement program. Next slide. As shown here. The department is requesting $200,000 for FY27 to better meet the growth in demand. Next slide, please. As indicated in the verbiage on the slide, again, the department has been facing increasing growth in demand, and they've experienced an uptick in applications and have eligible applicants awaiting reimbursement. So, as indicated here, the program allows for many reimbursements up to $5,000 and regular reimbursements for the historical preservation program up to $25,000. So the request for FY27 is $200,000, and the fund has the funds available to meet the request. So Lorraine Coleman is here if you have additional questions with regards to how the program is actually administered and all, but this is a situation where we have the special funds available, and again, you would be granting them greater authority to align better with the demand that they're actually experiencing. Next slide. This begins our first internal service fund. This particular fund is the Largo headquarters, and what is proposed for FY27 is a budget of $5.575 million. Next slide. As listed here, the highlights and major changes. We're really excited about a new tenant partnership with the public school system. This will result in better coordination between the planning boards and park departments, and it will also allow the commission to reduce its financial burden related to the headquarters operations. So as shown here, or on the next slide. Next slide, please. In FY27, it is proposed that the rental contributions will be as follows. You see the planning board at $183,000. Then we have our own departments, meaning the planning department, parks, the parks fund, and the rec fund, each contributing $1.3 million. And then we will be recognizing for the first time, based on this new tenant partnership, an additional nearly $1.6 million. Next slide. This is how the fund summary will actually be displayed in the budget books. But again, as you can see, we're anticipating that expenses for full operations of the two buildings for an entire year will be well within the $5.575 million that we're asking authority for. And what I will also share is the fact that, again, this FY27 will be the first year where both buildings are in full operation, so we will use FY27 as the year to gauge expenses and how to set the rental distributions moving forward based on the full year experience of both buildings operating. Next slide. Again, here will be the listing of all of the internal service funds that, again, we're asking we're providing the information, and will be on December 4th asking for your approval of the budget request. Next slide.
Ms. Charles, if I can stop
Sure.
you for a moment. We can go back to the Largo HQ fund summary. And as I look through this, I'm just curious as to the building across the street, 1601, has been sitting unoccupied for quite some time. Is there something that tells me how much we were paying for maintenance, upkeep, utilities on that building, and what's the difference in cost savings now that we have a tenant coming in there?
So what's presented on this particular slide, and we'll have to do this as a follow-up question to break down the utility costs. So I'll work with Lorraine to get further details for you. But what is shown on here is the fact that, as you can see under the actuals for FY25, there is roughly $2.8 million in expense that in the supplies and materials, and then other services and charges that is reflective of the kind of operational expense you were speaking to. But we'll get a breakdown of that $2.8 million that was expended during FY25 to allow you to see the difference between the two buildings.
Yeah, because if I'm saving $2.8 $8 million. And I'm just looking at my total net position. I see it going down versus increasing.
And which year are you looking at?
FY '26 and FY '27.
So that is reflective of the other piece that will not be active in FY '27 budget. We also had the renovation work that is embedded in FY '25 numbers and FY '26 columns. Okay. So moving forward again, this project, this fund will only reflect the building operation aspect of it.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Again, today we are not requesting your approval. This is just your first look at the proposed FY '27 request. Next slide. This slide actually is a precursor to something you'll see on December 4th. So if you don't mind, I'll keep it moving. This is CAS budget requests in progress. And so when we come back on the 4th, I'll spend more time on these expenses. Next slide. Here are the 6 internal service funds again. Starting at the top, the CIO internal service fund, just to give a little better understanding of what is provided through this fund. This fund is where it is the budget that supports the Office of the Chief Information Officer and the Program Management Office is held. And so as you can see there, the FY '27 request is basically $7.5 million. Now included in that $7.5 million, $2.1 million of it is the the office's operational expense. And $5.3 million of it is related to the commission-wide subscription and license renewal costs. So $2 million is office operations. The bulk of it is related to just keeping our subscriptions to our various software products that we use commission-wide.
So let me ask again, the disparity between Prince George's County and Montgomery County. And the reason why we're paying more, is it simply because of our size?
Size and users.
Okay.
So the things that are basic operations are split 50-50, but the subscriptions and licenses are driven by the actual user counts.
Okay.
The second item listed here is also for information technology. We refer to it as the CWIT fund. That's the commission-wide IT fund. This fund is how we typically advance agency-wide programs, enhancements to our IT system. So the FY '27 request of $734,353 is unchanged from FY '26, and actually it represents the planned installment for our ERP project. And again, you folks have been made aware of like the anticipated schedule with regard to actually being able to implement that project. We've been preparing funding-wise for this project for several years now. And so the $734,000 is the last, if you will, planned initial installment for the project. I do want, though, to mention that when you see this fund in the budget book in FY '27, there will be a change that's being introduced in FY '27, and the change is related to the fact that we requested authorization to bring on 8-term contract positions to assist in the implementation, and we indicated that those 8 positions would be funded from the CWIT fund. So when, again, you're seeing this in the budget book, you will, for the first time, see see personnel associated with it as well. The next internal service fund is the risk management fund, and I will advance the slide shortly. But as you can see at this level, I just want to point out the fact that risk management commission-wide is expected to go up 11%. What you will see and what I will share is that Prince George's County experience is far better than Montgomery County's experience right now. The capital equipment internal service fund looks like a huge increase, but when we get there, you will see that Prince George's County portion of it is small, that basically Montgomery County is who actively uses this fund to purchase a large equipment. And then the group insurance fund is going up 6.7%, and then I'll also be talking about the fact that the executive office building, which is where CAS resides, if you will, is able to reduce its anticipated annual operating expense during FY27. So, next slide, please. We'll start with the risk management. So, as shown here, and then just to give a little background, just make sure everyone understands that risk management is centrally managed by the Risk and Safety Office, which has a staff of 8 individuals. As listed to the left on the slide is their program priorities. And as you can see, again, the request for FY27 is $7.8 million in total for the commission, of which Prince George's County is 3.8. And you can actually see year over year that Prince George's County will have a slight reduction. Let's just call that flat funding. And you can see that Montgomery County's experience is such that they're going to face that kind of increase on the risk management side. In terms of what the budget covers, there are 3 main parts. There's the claims expense, which is, again, associated with workers' comp, liability claims, general liability, and our fleet claims. This budget also supports the program office expense, that staff of 8. And then it also includes the internal administrative expense. So we participate, the commission participates in the Montgomery County self-insurance program. And so the line item for administrative expense speaks to what our requirement is to stay as an active member in that self-insured fund.
Why is that? Why do we have a Montgomery County insurance fund?
It predates me, but lots of governmental entities pool that expense to get cost efficiencies and cost efficiencies, if you will. And I guess a decision was made to partner with the Montgomery County and all for this.
Okay.
Again, just want to again point out that based on the actuarial review of Prince George's County's experience, and they do look at the last 3 to 5 years, they said the expectation would be that the county would have just shy of 2.1 million in claims experience, which is that 2.5% increase. And again, Montgomery County, we're anticipating that the self-insurance fund that we participate in is going to hand us a bill that's 5.7% greater than the current year.
So who's using the insurance fund the most? Prince George's or Montgomery County?
Well, the numbers suggest, again, that the greater draw is on the Montgomery County side. And then the only other thing I would like to just continue to point out is again, both the fund has reserves, and please understand that the funds are never commingled. So Montgomery County's contributions are kept in a segregated account, and Prince George's is in a segregated account. And so, which has been our practice, we are allowing to help mitigate the annual contribution from Park and Rec. We use fund balance a little bit. So again, you see that fund balance is helping to allow Prince George's to have basically that flat funding. Next slide, please. This is the capital equipment fund. Again, as I think I already mentioned, the commission handles large equipment purchases through these funds. But as shown here, Prince George's County will only be sharing in the corporate IT request for $225,000 to support replacement of the firewall. And again, that is done at a 50-50 split. So the Prince George's portion is $112,500. But you get a sense of the activity that Montgomery County is undertaking or planning to undertake in FY27. And this fund does allow for both the use of PAYGO or straight up cash and financing, just depending on what is being purchased and what makes the most cost effective decision.
And both Montgomery County and Prince George's County contribute to this fund?
Correct.
And Montgomery County is using more of the dollars out of that fund?
Well, and I think the reason being that they don't have as great a flexibility in their budget as what we have experienced with the change in the tax rate every year. So this was a tool, if you will, that allowed them to be able to like refresh their fleet on a standard schedule.
So Prince George's County has contributed to...
But Prince George's only contributes to Prince George's equipment purchases and CAS related. And so the past several years of experience for Prince George's is the only thing that you've been participating in is the corporate IT items for acquisition.
I have a question. So Montgomery County for fiscal year 27 is going to have nearly $3 million, and Prince George's only has 112,000. It's a large disparity. Can you explain that?
Again, this fund and its use, a determination could be made to make greater use of this funding tool, if you will. I believe that Prince George's County has been handling its large equipment purchases just via its operational budget and has not felt the need to use this funding mechanism. Okay. I think Montgomery County has availed themselves of it because this was the only way that they could put themselves on a more standard replacement schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Next slide.
I did have one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I thought, where, with regards to the CIO, the CWIT, which of these is for the new ERP?
The ERP is in the CWIT fund.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next slide, please. Okay, now we're up to the group health insurance. Again, this is another one where it is centrally managed by the Department of Human Resources and Management. They have a staff of 7, and the fund provides for the pooling of active and retiree benefit costs. And as shown here, the requested budget request for FY27 is $93.4 million, which is a 6.7% increase from the FY26 budget levels. If you look at the actual fund summary and dig down into the revenue segment of it, if you will, you'll see that both employee and employer contributions are expected to rise by 5%. For the employer, the commission, that's 3.6 million more than what we have budgeted in FY26. I also want to point out the fact that our consultant Aon felt comfortable with if you will, plugging the expectation that we'll get almost an additional $1 million from the federal subsidy associated with EGWP Medicare. So that is helping to offset some of the increasing costs that we're seeing. And if you pay attention to the expense segment of the summary, you can see that it is, and we're anticipating, or what's baked into those numbers is an anticipated increase in claims and insurance premiums for the things that we commercially place between 8 and 10%. So our claims experience is expected to go up between 8 and 10%, and the insurance premiums that we participate in are also expected to go up by 8 to 10%. And then the only other thing that I want us to just lay eyes on with regard to this is, again, going down to the bottom of it where we talk about fund balance. I just want it to start sinking in that we know in the last couple of years we've been using fund balance as a way to mitigate the increases to employees, but FY27 signals where we are getting close to where we will not have unrestricted fund balance to allow us to continue to do that moving forward. So that's all.
And why is that the case?
Just we will have exhausted what had built up over time.
So how do we mitigate that?
We're going to have to increase cost sharing.
Okay.
And the next slide. Here's our last internal service fund is the executive office building. And again, this is where the bulk of CAS reside, if you will. And this fund speaks similar to the Largo headquarters. It speaks to the operational expense for the executive office building. And so what occurred and will be recognized the first time in FY27 is the fact that a market study was done and there was determination made that the lease rates needed to be adjusted for the tenants. And so as a result of that, we're reducing the budget. You're bringing in less. We're going to be charging less to the tenants, and our anticipated expenses in the building are such that we feel comfortable that we can reduce the operating budget by 25%, and that there's enough reserves in this fund to allow us to do so, which again provides relief to the tenants of the building in terms of their operating expenses. And so that concludes the presentation of the internal service funds and the special fund for the planning department. And again, I'll just say we'll thank you in advance for your support of the recommendation when we get to our approval session.
So I have a question on
Sure.
the EOB. So I know several years ago that there was because the EOB is in terrible shape. So is the plan to try to renovate it, or?
So they have been doing every year for the last couple of years some renovation work. So they've updated the bathrooms, for example. They've done some new flooring, outfitted the kitchen. So there's been updating going on for the last couple of years. They repaired the windows that were leaking and all. The expectation is that we're going to be in the building for a a period of time,
So it's been, because I remember one time, based upon a special committee, was that it would have been better to just sell that building and then maybe do a new one. Is that off the table now?
Anything can always return to a table, but again, we've been investing in the building in such a way to make it more livable
Or habitable?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And all of that work has turned out well.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Charles?
Chair, I just wanted to ask one quick question and clarification. We had agendized this for approval, but we're not going to, you don't need the approval, just to double check on that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And that, just note that in the minutes. Okay.
All right. Next on the item is item 3D, Corporate Budget Office, FY27 proposed MNC PPC budget for Prince George's County preliminary presentation. Ms. Charles and departmental staff. Come on up, departmental staff. That's you.
Good afternoon. My name is Darius A. Stanton. I'm the director of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission's Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County. I'm joined here with our finance chief, Mr. Bobby Enoch, who will also be presenting with us. And in addition, our operating budget manager, actually capital CIP budget manager, but she's working with the operations team. And in the audience, Ms. Claire Wishtel. Joining us in the audience are our deputies, Steve Carter, Deputy Stewart, and Chief out there, Ms. Dinsey from our CIP division. Today we are coming before you with our proposed FY27 operating budget and strategic programming overview. The Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County, provides comprehensive park and recreation programs, facilities, and services that respond to the evolving needs of the county's diverse communities. The department strives to preserve, enhance, and protect open spaces to enrich the quality of life for the present and future generations in a safe and secure environment. Our department is responsible for acquiring land, developing, and managing park and recreation facilities, maintaining open spaces, and providing a wide variety of leisure activities and services throughout a vast inventory of facilities. The department's programming, service delivery, and investment activities are supported by policies in the Formula 2040 Functional Master Plan for Parks, Recreation, and Open Space, and the Comprehensive Recreation Programming Plan, and the Land Preservation, Parks, and Recreation Plan, also known as LPPRP. The plan sets forth a framework of policies to maintain the viability of existing facilities and services, to guide the development of future facilities and programs, and the Comprehensive Recreation Programming Plan includes policies to guide the delivery of existing and future parks and recreation services. I want to talk a little bit now about our proposed FY27 budget outlook. The proposed FY27 operating budget outlook for Prince George's County and the Department of Parks and Recreation is required to stay within the Spending Affordability Committee, also known as SAC. These recommended guidelines, once adopted, help to guide us in making sure that we stay within our budget parameters. We plan on having the projections for FY 27 and 32 before the next planning board hearing. The department's challenges continue to be maintaining existing service levels and aging infrastructure while responding to the demand for increased services and programs. We continue to address our infrastructure improvements, our needs by pragmatically, utilizing existing fund balances in both the Park Fund and Recreation Fund, and exploring enterprise opportunities with our large portfolio of assets and resources. One of the things that we have realized in the in the last 120 days, if it is that long since I've been here, is the vast amount of resources and assets that we have as an organization. And they are, in some estimation, vastly underutilized in terms of being able to monetize and, or better utilization of words, enterprise them so that we are able to reduce the amount of revenue taken down from the tax or the fund, and also just being able to really create a dynamic where we're able to become more enterprising and self-sufficient. A great example of that is our Tucker Road facility, which is in the southern part. It's an ice rink, and for the last several years, it has generated over $1 million in revenue. This is the first year, based on some unexpected capital expenses, that they are ever dealing with a $30,000 deficit. The point being, there are a number of facilities and assets that we have that really could be generating a great more deal of revenue, but we have not really had that as a focus. Our focus has been more in cost recovery, but as you'll hear later on in the budget, we're really focusing on creating a dynamic where we're able to enterprise and really utilize our sales, advertising, and other means, as well as partnerships, public-private partnerships, and philanthropy efforts through our foundation to be able to generate more revenue. The primary focus of the FY27 and FY32 CIP, Capital Improvement Program, is to continue investing in maintaining the existing infrastructure with an increased focus on trails, athletic fields, and playgrounds. A secondary focus is to ensure the adequate funding is available to complete existing projects impacted by economic inflation. The asset management approach used by the department allows the department to prioritize requests based on in-depth information developed after an evaluation of the project's viability, community needs, service delivery, and goals, and likely costs. One of the things that impacts us greatly, in addition to the scenarios that we're dealing with regard to budget shortfalls at the federal government level, the state level, and even here in the county, is just the influx, or I should say transition, from one, and it's been over decades of time, from one, the changes in administration, changes in council, and the changes in priorities. And so as a result of that, we have to shift those things, and in some of those cases, some of the projects that we've already funded, put in place, and have timed, those priorities get shifted, and then those projects don't necessarily get completed, or the funding changes. And so it impacts our overall ability to meet what we initially set out to do. Now I want to talk to you about the proposed FY27 focus areas and our strategies.
Well, before you go on, sure. I just had a couple of questions based off of what you just said. If you can share with us the number of enterprises that you indicated that are not performing, that are revenue driven, that we are either not making money or not making at a level that you feel is appropriate. We would like to know how many of those enterprise money generating opportunities that we have within Parks and Recreation and the help and resources that you need to get them up to a certain level. Because as I was reading through your statement of the viability, community needs, service delivery goals, and likely cost are part of the fact that there are things within our enterprise that are not performing. My second question or need is the different programs that you mentioned that are not performing because of budgetary constraints, of money that are either taken away or not there, or monies that's needed. If you can help us understand exactly what those are, what's the money needed, or what's been taken away from those funds, so we can better ascertain the need or the help or resources that may be needed.
So let me just make sure that thank you for your questions. Let me make sure that I captured those questions appropriately. Your first question was how many of the existing facilities or assets that we have are money generating, and what amount of those are not generating revenue and able to meet the required amount to be able to efficiently operate. All right. The second question was, what are the different programs that are not performing at the current proposed capacity, and why are they not performing at the capacity? What is impacting their ability to underperform, and what resources are needed to make sure that they actually perform on capacity?
You captured that very well.
Thank you. I wish I was able to write as fast as I can. But thank you. We will.
On tape.
Great. We will definitely go back and provide that information in our follow-up presentation. We also have in the budget and just in our reorganization of our organization, especially with the development of our new finance division, have created a position that will, as I mentioned, focus on both cost recovery and enterprising. So there will be a complete analysis on the items that you mentioned. Now on to the proposed FY27 focus areas and strategies. Number one is inclusivity and equity. The department is committed to providing additional resources to the areas of cost in most need of high quality parks and recreation, including youth and adults with disabilities. Amplification of parks and recreation. We want to make sure that we continue to elevate the viability and impact and the accessibility of parks and recreation programs across the county by expanding our marketing and other communications efforts to make residents more aware of the programs and services, concerts, and events we offer countywide. And we're currently promoting, as early as today, on local news channels as well as other means, a brand study that we're doing, actually surveying our community as well as internally to find out what is it that we can do to make our residents more aware of the myriad of programs and services that people just are unaware of, and not only in their own community, but countywide. Community impact. The department is committed to building connections, promoting wellness, and strengthening the community pride through intentional programming, partnerships, and equitable resource distribution. And the department will ensure that every neighborhood benefits from the social, environmental, and economic value of parks and recreation. We have developed a phenomenal partnership with Kaboom, which has helped us to create play equity throughout the county. And we just opened up, I believe, our 16th playground with Kaboom, and that number continues to climb. And these are in communities that were previously underserved in terms of playgrounds and opportunities for children, not only children, but including children with disabilities as well. Community events. The department will continue to create and support vibrant calendar of community events that bring people together, celebrate local culture, and foster a sense of belonging. The customer experience, although we believe our programming provides an excellent customer experience, we are a 6-time gold medal winning organization, and we expect to go after our 7th gold medal. We were a finalist this year in the 2025 NRPA National Convention, but we expect to go back, and one of the things that we are going to focus on is how we treat our customers internally, meaning our 5,400 employees, but also how we put a focus on being the #1 customer service provider in Prince George's County. Wellness and mental health. The department will continue to advance the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of our community through inclusive recreation, access to nature programs, and support healthy lifestyles. By integrating wellness principles into parks, facilities, and activities, the department will foster resilience, reduce stress, and create opportunities for all of our residents to thrive in mind and body. As a result of that, we have added a position now called the Health and Wellness Integrator that will work both internally to make sure that our staff first are being maintained and their health and well-being is priority, and then how we integrate health and wellness into all of the programming throughout our system, and including our partners in the community that are already providing those types of programs. Climate action. The department will champion environmental sustainability and resilience through thoughtful park design and infrastructure and resource-efficient operations. And the department will lead by reducing its carbon footprint, protecting natural habitats, and educating the community on climate stewardship. And we are continuing to do great work with regard to sustainability, including at our own yards. Some of our maintenance yards, we have an entire sustainability program that I believe should be award-winning. And the enterprise. As we talked about earlier, the department will continue to enhance our financial sustainability, expanding revenue-generating programs, offering through our foundation, which we are now about to stand back up, optimizing operations, and aligning resources with community priorities. Through data-driven decision-making, equitable pricing strategies, and innovative partnerships that we also want to make reciprocal. And so we're doing a study on the partnerships within our organization to make sure that we are creating reciprocal relationships and not just one way. We provide a lot of services for a lot of different entities, agencies, and community organizations, and we want to make sure that we are able to create a dynamic where we're working in a reciprocal fashion. The last thing I'd share just in terms of our focus is we are in the process of developing what is called a Human Service Master Plan for the Department of Parks and Recreation. This body is generally used to seeing, talking about the 2040 Master Plan or 2035, 2050 now, which is coming on the table, which is focused on infrastructure, roads, buildings, things of that nature. Our Human Service Master Plan will be focused on the family, the human beings. What is it that we need to make sure that our residents and our families are receiving the type of education support, receiving the type of health and wellness, and so those indicators that we're looking at now, which are heart disease, high blood pressure, what's happening with our children in our recreation centers and their academic scores, how can we partner with our existing partners like the public school system to reduce the summer learning loss. So as an example, from May to September, once children come out of school, unless there's some educational program at home or in a program that they're engaged in, throughout that entire time, they're really not engaged in educational academic activities. And simply by getting a package from our local school in our community centers where we have parks, camps, and other programs, even sports programs, we could spend 10 minutes on math, 10 minutes on reading, 10 minutes on science every day. And so now instead of having 9 years or 9.5 years of education based on those 5 years, 4 or 5 months that we're missing, you're now from K to 12, you're having a full 12 to 13 years of educational and advancement, and your students coming back in school in the fall are not spending a month and a half trying to catch up and being re-educated or reacclimated to the learning process, number one, but also teaching them or reviewing what it is that they learned in the previous semester. So we believe that'll have an overall impact on health and our children and our families' health and well-being, because if they're able to learn more, they'll be able to live more and play more. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bobby Enoch, who will take us through the proposed enhancements to FY27 budget, unless there are any questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon to the members of the Planning Board. My name again is Bobby Enoch, and I'm the Division Chief for Financial Management. And I just want to take the opportunity to walk through some of the budget numbers here. And as you will see, there will be some increases and potential savings, and kind of give you some background to some of the information, the numbers that will support the data. So for the proposed enhancements to the FY27 budget, we have a substantial increase of $10 million. That's for personnel and benefits. That will primarily be due to the salary market increases for expenses such as COLA and merit increases, where that projection is usually at a higher rate and potentially will come down once the actuals hit. Also, there's an increase in seasonal funding of $3.1 million. And there's also a proposed addition of 13 new positions, which is highlighted in the green box below. 12 of those positions will support the park fund, be supported by the park fund, and one position will be supported by the recreation fund for $1.5 million. As you see, the positions support the park police, where we have 6 positions. We have 2 positions, one each for our southern and northern regional parks divisions. 1 administrative support for resource development unit, and 3 additional important assets to our director's office, and 1 principal parks facility maintenance worker for our arts and cultural heritage division. Moving on to the next line item is our other operating changes. As you can see, we have a decrease in from our FY26 adopted adjusted budget, which is a $1.1 million decrease. Those other operating changes support contracted services for landscaping, field and restorative maintenance, stormwater management initiatives, increased bridge systems and infrastructure improvements, professional services related to climate action, department-wide security upgrades and installations, telephone migrations to a cloud-based system, Kronos clock replacements, and credit card terminal replacements. So there's also a critical need for updates to our mobile command center for Park Police to better serve the community, and vehicle replacements. And again, that is a reduction from last year. So our goal is to continue to work towards creating a cost savings where we can for future reference in future fiscal years. Our next line item is related to chargebacks, and we have a slight increase of $900,000 from our FY26 budget, and the chargebacks will support increases largely due to data center charges and ongoing ERP initiative and recruitment increases. The next line item is our OBI, which stands for Operating Budget Impact. And that another way to look at it is our one-time expenses. And the one-time expenses for FY27 will support the relocation of the 94th Aero Squadron to a new location, which requires a build-out. Seasonal increases to support new purchases from of the Cross Creek facility, and as well as Sandy Hill Park. Also, there's a critical need for a department-wide cloud-based telephone system. And then, as mentioned in a previous line item, one-time funding is required for credit card terminal refreshments, Kronos clock replacements, EPAC emergency forms automation, and ACR replacements, which is an upgrade to our internal permitting system. Next line is transfers to debt service. Transfers to debt service increased based on existing debt and new debt. which is scheduled to be issued in FY27. Basically increases to the number and value of our construction projects that we support.
That's 30 million under the transfer?
No, the 30 million will be for the capital projects. That's the increase of about 4.4 million. Spread across those number of, spread across a number of the old debt, existing debt, as well as new debt. Oh, yeah. Yes. And then we have the transfer to capital projects fund, which is the $30 million decrease from FY26, and that will we're proposing to transfer $30 million to the capital projects in support of $20 million towards the Temple Hills community from the park fund, and $10 million will come from the administrative fund to support that effort as well.
All right, Mr. Enoch, I have a couple of questions.
Sure, yes, sir.
Let's start with personnel. You said that there's a $10 million increase for 13 new personnel, and that's for the total of the year, right? This
1.5 for the additional 13 personnel of that 10 million.
1 point. So what is the $10 million for?
So majority of that $10 million is the seasonal, I mean, not the seasonal marker, the salary marker that's in place to support COLA and merit, and that percentage is usually a higher percentage for projection for the 5,400 employees, and then, you know, as that projection will be just a placeholder as we move forward to actuals and actually receive those COLA and merit increases, then typically that number is lower, that percentage is lower, and that number would come down.
Okay. So the 13 you're saying is roughly 1.3?
1.5.
1.5 million.
Seasonal increase in seasonal funding is 3.1 estimate.
Those are seasonal part-time employees.
Mm-hmm. And then the remaining would be.
So
the
you're looking at
salary
4.6, and then the remaining of the salary marker is around $4 million?
Yes.
And then do we have any idea on the number of people that are scheduled for retirement?
I don't have that information readily available, but I can follow up with you.
And the only reason why I ask, because I'm looking at your numbers of the increment of changes, but there do I say that number would be different if we knew how many people are actually scheduled for retirement?
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right. And then I want to just touch base back on the transfer of capital project funds. You have a proposed transfer to capital project is $30 million in FY27, based on $20 million for Temple Hills Community Center and $10 million that will come from the administration fund. Can you explain?
So, excuse me. In FY26, we had an original transfer of $40 million. That was $20 million from the park fund and $20 million from the rec fund into the capital projects fund. So that was the first 40 in 26. The additional 20 came in October, so that's our adopted adjusted amount for a total of $60 million that came into the park fund. That additional 20, that was for the Temple Hills Community Center. So a total of $60 million was transferred in last year. This year, we are transferring only $20 million from the park fund and $10 million from the rec fund into the capital projects fund for a total of $30 million. There will be an additional 10 coming into the fund from the administrative fund, but that does not directly affect our park fund or our rec fund. That will come out of Ms. Charles's budget.
So I'm just trying to understand with the depletion of 20 million, 10 million, where does that leave your balance in the rec fund and the park fund?
So we are still working toward our final budget, which we will present on the 4th, and that will have our final balance information. Once we have our total expenditures, which we should have probably by Monday, We will give that number to Ms. Charles, and she will recalculate the balances for us.
So I'm asserting myself to believe that the transfer of capital project funds is entitled project charges?
Capital Projects Fund? No.
All right.
No, not at all.
So your project charges, how much is that have you allocated in FY25 and FY26?
We are keeping, in the current proposed budget, we will be keeping the same amount that was funded last year,
And which is?
around 22 million.
How many?
22 million.
So 22 million from 26?
We will carry forward the 22 million from FY26 forward into FY27 for the moment.
And add to what's already here.
No, that's separate. So what you're seeing here are just major changes.
Right.
It's not a balance. So when we come to you on the 4th, you'll see project charges last year as 22 and project charges this year as 22.
So for 44 million.
No, 22 total. It's not, operating budget's not cumulative, only capital.
Just to note that, we will and have been working to reduce the amount of project charges that impact our budget. So that's something that we are focused on and have been continuously dealing with, definitely since we've come into the role. I also would just like to acknowledge the fact that the department will continue to exercise strong fiscal discretion to meet its operational needs for the next fiscal year, to include efforts to reallocate funding where most needed. In addition to that, as we build out our finance division, we will be bringing budget experts as well as folks. Mr. Enoch has an extensive background in auditing as well, and so some of the things that we've been spending resources of funds on in the past, we'll be looking at them much closer to be able to see how we can become more efficient and effective with what we currently have.
Are there any other questions for Director Stanton and his team?
I just have a question. I don't know if it's direct, but with regards to the public safety aides and the like, and the increase in staffing that's represented in the second graph in green, are we considering the use of any drones like other police departments are using?
We currently have 6 drones in the department, so technology is definitely a big component of what it is that we're doing. One of the greatest benefits that we have is our trail system. And so the ability to be able to utilize drones to monitor our trails would be significant. And this is one of the areas that we will be looking at with regard to our resource development department, as well as our foundation, to be able to assist and support us in identifying additional funds to maintain that level of security. But we cover, as you know, a vast amount of land. And so our department has done an excellent job in being able to maintain the level of security thus far, but it becomes increasingly challenging. And so drones are definitely a part of that strategy. The question is, how do we finance them?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, seeing that there is no other questions, we thank you guys for your presentation.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, fellow commissioners.
That concludes the meeting for today. I want to thank the staff and others for the day, and it is now 2:30 p.m., and the meeting is now adjourned.